The Marinade.
There's no O in Marinade. Let's try it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The Marinade.
Marinade.
Bone marinade. The
That's
Marinade.
The Marinade. With Jason Earle. Welcome to The Marinade with Jason Earle, a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. This is episode 49, and our guest is Emily Wolfe. Emily is a guitar player, singer, and songwriter based in Austin, Texas. Her self-titled solo record was released in 2019, and y'all go get a copy. It is fantastic. You're hearing Emily's latest single, Ghost Limb Gambler, in this episode, which you can find wherever you listen to music and at emilywolfemusic.com, which is also where you can find her upcoming tour dates. She's all over the eastern U.S. in February, so be sure to catch her and say hello for us if she's coming to your town. Hey y'all, before we get to our conversation with Emily, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our newest Patreon patrons, Kelly and Patty. Welcome, Kelly and Patty. We love you. We appreciate you so much. Each of them will be receiving a Marinade shirt, a button, and a sticker, plus access to our Patreon exclusive show, Jason's Journey, where I talk about the moments that have shaped and continue to shape my creative life. We have a special deal going for one more week. If you join our Patreon at the $10 level between now and February 9th, 2020, I will send you a Marinade shirt. That's usually a $25 purchase. So $10 for access to Patreon exclusive content, a shirt, and some swag. It's a really hard deal to beat. Seriously. Plus it's fun. Patreon's fun. We have a good time over there. All right, y'all. Let's get to the conversation. Emily and I caught up behind Little Indies in Orlando, Florida, just before doors opened for her show at Will's Pub a few days ago. She was such a delight to chat with, and I am so honored to bring you this conversation with Emily Wolfe.
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
But I'll try and talk the exact same level as you.
Okay. Thank you for being so considerate about that. Yeah, so just kind of aware of that and perfect. Will you just say some nice things into the microphone?
Check. Hey.
Ah, that was charming.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, yeah,
I'm so excited. I've been devouring your self-titled record. And
oh my gosh.
It's like I think increasingly this is what I want. It has this characteristic that I want from music increasingly, which is it's like heavy guitar and like heavy themes too to the lyrics, but it just like goes down easy. There's something about like the
That's great.
Almost pop sensibility of the feel to it, right? It's just like makes me want to sing along, but at the same time there's that heaviness to the guitar and there's that heaviness to the themes that kind of is like, all right, this is sort of what I want these days. Like,
That's great.
You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I'm super glad that came across because it's like what I'm trying to do.
Good.
Yeah, I hope it's like, that's cool. I'm glad.
Well, how do you try to do that? Like, what does that look like?
I do a lot of pre-production
Uh-huh.
for stuff. Like, I don't know. I study pop music like it's like nobody's business. Like its own thing. Just because like Max Martin is like a hero of mine when it comes to like songwriting and stuff, because he somehow figured out the like mathematical formula to like writing a hit song. And it's like, yeah, I want to do that, but I also like want to put other influences into it. Like my favorite band is like Queens of the Stone Age, so it's like
that comes through.
Yeah, like how
That's
can I
cool.
mix these? And I don't know, with my voice, it's just not a rock voice, and maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
and I skipped my compliment about your voice, which I feel stupid about, because that is part of it too, is that you have such a beautiful voice, and
Thanks.
I think that juxtaposition, and it's not like it's not out there. It's just it's kind of rare, where it's like the beautiful voice with the really heavy guitar and the chops, right, to back it up. So you got that whole package, which makes it for a really unique and really fun listen.
That's great. I'm so glad.
Good.
I'm super pumped that it's fun. Okay, good.
Good. So what does that process look like for you? Are you a sit down, do the work kind of person every day? It's because it seems like one of the themes that I'm gathering from just doing some research from interviews with you and so forth is that work ethic seems to come up a lot, or like working on your craft.
Yeah.
And so what is your relationship like with your work? Is it that you're getting up and doing it constantly? Is it always on your mind? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's kind of just a part of my brain at this point, I think. Because like anything I listen to, I try to analyze. It's like, and it's fun to listen to music, but it's also like, okay, what did they do here that I like? How can I incorporate that? What are the chord changes that make me feel something? Like, why does this Elton John song make me feel really sad or like really excited or give me tingles? Like, and I try to like really analyze what about those things can I do, if that makes sense. But a lot of it is just trying to figure out patterns in music that I love. Let's see. Like I know, so Max Martin does this thing where it's like he's got a hook, and then he's got verse, chorus, verse, and then at the end of a song, he'll like do the chorus twice, but the first time that he does it out of those two is like he'll do it a different way. So it like re-engages you. It's like, I think a lot of work ethic comes from just studying masters at their crafts, I think. And then, so there's the songwriting part, and then there's like the guitar part. It's like, okay, how does Stevie Ray Vaughan bend? What is his phrasing? How do I get my own sound to be as impactful as his,
Right.
Yeah.
When you started playing really young, right?
Yeah.
When you did, and maybe I'm answering my own question here, but I think you just mentioned Stevie Ray Vaughan, right?
Yeah.
So that name is so intimidating to me if I think of the guitar.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to glean anything off of him, it would be incredibly intimidating. Did you have that feeling ever, or is it because you started so young? Were you fearless and like emulating your heroes early?
I don't think I ever was afraid. I mean, I knew right off the bat, like, okay, I'm not going to sound exactly like him, so why try?
Right.
Just, like, kind of, figure out how he does it, if that's possible, and then do it myself, if that's possible. And, like, I think it's, like, inherent that it's going to sound unique because everybody sounds different on the guitar to me.
Sure.
But, yeah, sorry, I don't know if I answered the question.
No, I think you did answer my question. It just kind of blows my mind that, because I think about, and maybe that's me projecting my own feelings about my guitar playing, right?
Oh.
Is that I think anytime I try to, and it's true of writing too. So I'm more of a writer, and so I know that I end up sounding like people that I want to sound like, right? And I know that I fall really far short, but I don't know that I don't know that I consciously study them. I don't know that I do. Like, are you sitting down with a Stevie Ray Vaughan record?
Oh, yeah.
And really thinking about how is he making that happen?
Yeah. Like, videos. I have this software that I use that, like, if I hear a lick that I think is incredibly difficult to play and really cool, I'll slow that shit down so slow and learn it note for note, and then like try and like figure out, okay, how can I turn this lick into my own? So that's like that's like how I do it, basically. Like, so I've got like let's see, like a bank, I guess, of licks, that I love to do, and then other times live I'll just like try and make some stuff up, I guess, and then somehow it works out because it'll bleed into the other licks of the bank, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and the more you play, and the better you get at that, and you have that reservoir of licks, that you can draw from. The software slows it down.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
Let me tell you what it is. It's it was $15.
Okay.
It's called it's kind of a stupid name, but it's called the Amazing Slow Downer app.
The Amazing Slow Downer. Get at us if we have ad space available on the Marinade.
Oh, it's
if
crazy.
You wanna come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll slow stuff down. It'll put it in a different key. And I'll just listen over and over and over until
you've got it
know how to
figured
play
out.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of people, it's kind of funny because looking back at like years past, like in the 70s, like Clapton didn't have that. Like I don't know how he taught himself all that shit. Like that's incredible that he, that
he also
players
didn't have Twitter and
YouTube and stuff like that.
and stuff. So like, I do wonder that sometimes. I think about that a lot actually.
Yeah.
And I've been recently of course it's an advantage in some ways, but at the same time, if you didn't have that stuff, you'd just be sitting alone in your room woodshedding it.
Yeah. Totally.
And is that what it looks like? Are you like? Tour may be different, but if you're at home, are you getting up and picking up your guitar and starting right away? Or like, what's your day-to-day look like when it comes to your creative process?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, so my day-to-day, I actually am currently a guitar tech at a music shop.
Uh-huh.
At this point in my career, it's like all the money that I make goes back into the business, and so I got to pay my bills somehow, and so I just guitar tech at a music shop. So I'm there at like long hours during the day, like 10 to 7. So I only really have like 4 or 5 hours at night to do whatever or hang out with my family. And but before I had a job, like I had a couple of years that I didn't have to work because I had like a song in a TV show that gave some royalties to me, and for a while, and then it started to dip off, but. During that time, I wrote a lot of songs, and I did a bunch of exercises on guitar, and I watched a ton of videos, and I went to the library like it was the 90s and just like studied a bunch of books, read a bunch of bios, like
books on theory and that kind of thing, or what?
Some of that, some of like I read a lot of like Chrissy Hines biography. I read Bruce Springsteen's biography.
Did you tour with her? Or
I did it, a couple shows with her. Yeah, she's cool. Yeah. That was awesome. But
I want to get to that too.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So then, that's interesting about the fact that you've got a day job that is as a guitar tech. Is that allowing you to access anything creatively, or is it just work?
It's actually really helpful.
Nice.
Because it's a shop in Austin, and I absolutely love it. I was a customer that went there every single day.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should ask for a job. And so they were like, we actually need a guitar tech. So I started working there, and but so they have this massive wall of guitar pedals, and I just get to try them all, and I get to open all the new ones, and it's like I get to just geek out on gear all day, and it's like kind of a dream job, to be honest. Like ideally, I would be able to work on my own music all day, but gotta pay those bills. So. But
it's great that you found something that's around. You've got competencies around that job, and so it can feed off of each other in that way. If you're testing out new pedals, I'm sure you're getting all kinds of ideas, and your
it's cool.
Neurons are firing in that way.
Yeah, I'm just in the back, just. It's funny because the guitars. It's actually a rental shop. So I basically set up all the guitars and clean them all when they come back from rentals.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much about like Fender guitars, and like I'm a Gibson girl, so I don't really know much about Fenders, but I do now.
Yeah.
But they rent out Fenders, and all the specs I learned, and the repair guys taught me a lot about pedals too, like repairing pedals and amps and stuff. So it's been really fun, actually.
That's great.
Yeah.
But are you able to? It sounds like you're constantly living in music. Then, is that always comforting? Do you ever feel like I need a break? And if so, what do you do to get that break? Or is it just, that's just so much of you that you dig it that much?
I just, I never get tired of it.
Good.
It's like, if I'm not surrounded by either gear or like my band or people who play music or whatever, like I feel weird. Like I feel like I'm I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird world without it.
You seem very very centered. Do you do something to work on that, or is that accurate, or are you just really good at portraying that? You seem like very content.
I'm really content.
Good.
I think it's just I've only been this way for like a year, so it's like,
oh, word.
Yeah, it's taken a long time for me to get on the road. Just doing even like little venues like this, like
right.
So I'm just like stoked to have the opportunity to play in different cities.
That's so interesting, especially considering the fact. I mean, clearly people are recognizing your talent. Like you've played with all these people, the Pretenders and Gary Clark, and I'm just doing this off the top of my head because I have it written down somewhere. I can't remember, but. And all of these pairings all made sense as I read them, wherever I read them. Gary Clark, Hart, like all that just sort of made sense as I was going through this. And then Ben Tanner produced your record.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of wild how the whole thing works. That just now you're getting to that place where you're out on the road and doing the thing. But what lessons have you learned from what an awesome education? Like those kind of people getting to play with them.
It's crazy. It's
what
so
lessons
cool.
have you learned from those folks?
Well, I've kind of learned that it's like if I'm gonna do this, I've just got to be all in.
Yeah.
You know, because like I was like side stage for Hart after I played, then Joan Jett played, and then Hart played, and I was watching them, and it was crazy. Joan Jett is really short, by the way.
Oh.
She's super short, super nice.
Oh, nice.
But they're just like, it's crazy to think about how long their careers have been.
Yeah.
And that's what I want, really. So I think the lesson that I've learned is, like, I want to be playing arenas one day, every night.
Sure.
But it's going to be a slow build because these women they're up there in age, but they're playing these huge places. So it's like, I think to have a long career, it's the lesson I learned is like, it's a slow build, and that's just something that I had to accept. There's not going to be like one thing that's going to be the big break, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like everything's just a stepping stone.
Isn't that so true? Like, I think that there's this myth in Western society that we have this feeling, especially in American society, where we feel like there's this moment that happens for everybody where you explode.
Yeah.
And it feels like that because it's all of a sudden someone's in our face and we know who they are.
Yeah.
And we don't see the 10 years of, you know, working at the guitar store and serving tables and doing all the other jobs, touring around in a van or less, you know.
Yeah.
And then when that moment comes, like, I think that is a weird myth that there's like this spark that happens, and there you are.
Yeah.
You're in an arena.
Yeah.
Because it happens so infrequently that someone lives that life.
It's like the American Idol syndrome or something, or like The
Yeah,
Voice. It's like, oh, you won, here you go, you know, like. And it's funny because it's funny to hear people say, oh, they came out of nowhere, but it's like, I don't know, man. They've probably been pounding pavement for decades.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a handful of examples off the top of my head of people that seemingly came out of nowhere, but that were just doing the work and going through the muck, you know, to get there. So you think arenas is the end goal? Like, if you could have it, you want to do that?
Oh, my God, yes. That's like
so great.
That's the goal.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Not like giant rock clubs, but arenas. Like
arenas.
Big.
There we go.
Huge. I love that. And I love there's no hesitation in your voice.
Arenas.
No hesitation at all. You want to play arenas. It's wonderful.
I mean, I love playing like anywhere.
Yeah.
But in an ideal world, the arena is.
Well, let's talk about live, because I haven't seen you live yet, but I have watched a ton of videos, and the energy that you bring and the focus that you seem to have, like, and it comes through in a video, so
cool.
It must be very real in real life. Like, there just seems to be you seem completely locked in to what you're doing on that stage.
That's great.
Is there anything you do to to get there, or is that just part of the process?
I kind of just have to flip a switch. Like, that's pretty much like the only place that I feel focused. Like, everywhere else, like it's like something distracts me every second, you know. But not in this interview. I'm not.
No,
saying
you're really locked in here. Do you have like ADHD or anything? A diagnosis
Probably.
of any sort?
I don't know.
Yeah, undiagnosed?
It's I don't know. I kind of feel spacey like all the time, but something about just getting to play original songs in front of people is like, it's like, okay, like this is it. This is what you're wanting. So I just flip the switch, and then that's all I see and feel, and it's like, okay, this is why I was born, you know. That's what I feel like I was born to do. So
that's wonderful. It's cool. There was which one was it? You played. There's a video of you playing. Okay, yeah, I can read my own handwriting. Out of Blues, and there's like this Tom Morello-esque kind of coda to it. I don't remember where you were playing.
Oh.
I don't remember, but it was really cool. It was like this rage feeling.
Sweet.
Kind of. It just felt like you were in that moment and you wanted to melt people's faces.
Yeah.
And it just came across as something that like Tom Morello would do.
I love Tom Morello.
He's amazing.
It's so cool that he brings such a unique sound, because so many people, like, I know I said like everybody does sound different on the guitar, but he's just coming from such a different place with it. It's
instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
No matter what he's doing.
So cool.
Yeah. What was the process like creating the new album with Ben Tanner? What was that whole process like?
It was great. I like to write and flesh out the songs pretty much like 99% before I go in.
Yeah.
And I cut like live demos for him, and I sent those over to him. And I think at first he was like, okay, you don't have a rock voice, but you've got rock songs, but they've got pop influence. So I think he was slightly confused on how to do it. But then I was like, well, come out to a live show. And he came to see me and the guys play at Stubbs in Austin. And after the show, he was like, okay, I get it. I know what to do. So I don't know what happened there, but I guess the live show like let him know, like, okay, this is the direction to go.
Well, that's great, because there's that live feel to the record. And
that's
so
great.
that comes through for sure.
Cool.
And to hear you say it doesn't surprise me at all. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really great.
But it was great. So I sent him, he came out to the show, and then, we did it. Some of it in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, where he lives.
Yeah.
And then most of it in Austin at Earle Studios. And that's really close to where I live. So I kind of, like, I flew him out. I was like, man, I kind of just want to be at my house to do, near my house and my family to do this. And, it was great. It was really quick and really natural to work with him. It was really fun to see the kind of stuff that he brought, like some standout things that I remember happening. So before I met him, I was really into like bass and mid-range frequencies, and like because like high-end treble stuff, like kind of I haven't figured out really how to put treble frequencies in a record without them being harsh, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, yeah.
Yeah, but so he was like, okay, you've got all these layered up guitars. You've got to have something in the high register. And it sounds like, well, duh, but I don't know, to me, like that shoe hadn't dropped.
Right.
But, so I had like bass and mid-range carved out for each other. Like the bass was scooped, and then the mids on the guitar were like curved up. So it made like a sandwich, and then he was like, you need something on top to like have little ear candy. And I was like, okay. So he had like air, like he would just play air synth, if that makes any sense. Like, so he found this sound on a synth that was literally just like wind, like high-end wind, and it gave all the choruses like this lift. And it's like, it's really subconscious, but it's so cool to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's really, really really good at what he does.
I love that. I always love asking about that process because I find it fascinating how you can have these songs 99% done. And you know what you want to hear, but at the same time, that wind is what you needed.
Yeah,
right? Like
it's
that's
crazy.
That's what you needed.
Yeah, and it's all like sonic, I guess. Okay, how can you please the ear? You know, and that's like I'd never really thought about that before him, and now
Right.
I'm like obsessed with that concept. So
How comfortable are you bringing your songs to other people for either their influence or feedback or whatever?
it's weird. It's a little weird still. I wish I was more open about it, but I have started tapping into it.
Good.
Yeah, I brought like a half finished song to a guy in Nashville, and we ended up writing it together 50-50, and I really love the lyrics now. And
Oh, good.
yeah, I still feel a little bit weird, like I'm giving half of my dog away or something.
Right.
But like,
right.
yeah, no,
My
it's
dog went-
I don't know.
Oh my God, it's such a painful.
I know, right?
analogy,
It's
yeah.
like it feels weird, but I feel like the more I do it, the better it'll feel.
Is
you
that a
know?
song that has been released, or is that one that you've
No,
recently
not
written?
yet, not yet. But it's
Oh.
gonna be. I'm writing the next album, and it's gonna be released in the fall, I think.
Okay.
Whenever Q3 is of a year, I don't
All
know.
right, yeah.
But yeah, it'll be on that one. So
Wonderful.
yeah, still
Won-
tweaking it though. But
Okay, so songs are written,
yeah,
all
mhm.
the whole thing.
Still got a couple more that I want to pump out, but
Okay.
yeah.
Was there like a through line to them? Was it a collection of things that you've recorded over time? Like, what more can you tell us about that?
Yeah,
That's exciting.
you know, I'm trying to think of a theme now that I'm like really thinking about it.
Were they written around the same time?
They were kind of scattered.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the songs I had written. Let's see, I had the verse written, and I was like, I cannot give up on this song. This is like really something that I want
Yeah.
to be out. And then I went to Nashville for like 5 days to like get away from my day job and write in an
Right.
Airbnb. And I finished it there because I was alone, and like I just really like to write when nobody's around me, or
Uh-huh.
I finished it there, and then I finished a few others, and yeah, I just wrote them there. And I had some snacks there. I had a little 1-bedroom, had TV going with no sound, and just my pedals, and that was it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's so romantic to me. So you needed that space, and
Yeah.
so you flew to Nashville, got an Airbnb. Did you like hole yourself off, or were you going out and seeing other people and meeting other people, or
A
going
little
out
bit
for a
of
coffee
it.
or a drink or something, or
Yeah, I met up with some people from my publishing company. 'Cause they were like, hey, like, do you want to write more? And I was like, I have got to write more because I have
Yeah.
all this stuff inside me, but I work like long hours during the day, and I just don't have time to get it out. And they were like, okay, well, take off work for 5 days. We'll fly you to Nashville and get you an Airbnb and just like write some music. And I was like, that sounds
Awesome.
great.
yeah.
So I did. And I came out with like 5 songs.
That's
and
so great.
yeah, and I'm still writing some other stuff, but yeah, it's funny. It's like as soon as I get alone time, just no distraction, it's like, there we go. That's what I needed. You
So
know?
place is pretty. That's a couple times now you've mentioned place. You mentioned the fact that you did part of the record in Muscle Shoals and then part of the record at home, and you wanted to be home.
Yeah,
For that reason, and then you just mentioned this kind of isolation to some extent for the writing process.
yeah,
So that seems like a common theme there with you for your process. Is place does matter quite a bit.
yeah, for sure. Surroundings, like knowing that everybody in my life's okay. I don't have to worry about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think just like having, because it is so hard for me to focus on it, you know. So I just have to have, like, this is your job right now. Just focus on this,
Right.
and then things pop out that way.
So, do you have like a little bit? Is that an anxiety thing, like the worry about other people, or are you
Oh,
just
yeah.
an empath?
Oh,
really?
it's bad. Let me tell you what, it's bad.
Really?
Yeah, but it's, you know,
Anxiety in general?
yeah.
I do too. That's
It's-
why I bring it up. I talk about it
yeah.
all the time. This show is basically a therapy show. Half
That's
the time.
great.
Yeah. because I just went through a really tough bout this weekend, and I saw my therapist on Tuesday, and of course I feel great because all of that stuff was in my head and I wasn't doing the work.
Right.
If I do the work, if I bring my awareness back to my breath, if I'm
Yeah.
getting enough sleep, if I'm exercising, if I'm eating right, go figure, I'm not that anxious.
Right. Isn't that funny?
If
Yeah.
I don't do that shit,
Yeah.
then I'm a mess.
Totally. I feel that. Yeah. Yeah. It's anxiety and it's.
So what do you do to work on it?
You know what? It's bad, but I smoke cigarettes sometimes.
Okay.
A lot. I do have to think about breathing a lot.
Yeah.
But if I'm really anxious, like I have to play guitar because it's just like something about the vibration of the strings like against my body is like calming. And I don't know why.
It's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. It's like I just have to do it. Like,
It does the same for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's therapeutic.
Just even if I'm mindlessly strumming, if I just pick up my guitar, I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah. Totally.
It's just, it really is like a miracle cure.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I just got to play more.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My therapist is going to be mad because I won't need her anymore, but I'm just going to play more. It's going to fix everything. This has been so much fun, Emily, and I want to honor your time, but we usually end on what you're consuming. So, like, what art has you fired up? It could be music or film or, I don't know, painting you saw recently. Like, what's got you excited right now?
Yeah. Man, there's this album out by Dreamville, which is J. Cole's label, and it's hip hop, but it's like JID, J. Cole, Baz, like all these rappers that are just really incredible.
Yeah.
And it's called Revenge of the Dreamers 3 is
Okay.
what the album is, and it just like fires me up.
Oh,
I don't know
love
what
J.
it is.
Cole.
Yeah.
J. Cole has some of that same thing we talked about earlier, where it's like he has really catchy pop songs.
Yeah.
But he is not fucking around.
Right.
He has a lot to say.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
The people
to
who
me.
can do that, especially at the hip hop in hip hop, it's amazing when they do it well.
Yeah.
Kendrick can kind of do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I agree.
You know, but J. Cole's a master at it.
He's incredible. And his flow is nuts. It's like yeah, the rhythm of that, like sometimes I like to listen to like really good rappers and then like listen to what rhythm are they doing right now, and then I'll use that rhythm and write a riff on that rhythm, and so it's like pretty fun.
Dope.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm having a hard time even processing what that looks like. That's amazing.
It's pretty cool. You should try it. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you'll have, I don't know, so like the rhythm will go like da 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 or something, and then you'll pick out whatever notes you want, and then it'll be da 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 da, and then it's like turns out to
That's
be cool.
all. So the next Emily Wolfe record is a hip hop album, is what
Maybe.
I'm reading between these lines here.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Break
for
a leg
having
tonight.
me.
This was so much fun.
Oh man.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thank you to Emily for sitting down with us. Thank you to her manager, Brittany, for making this happen. I had so much fun talking with Emily, and I'm looking forward to the day she's playing arenas. Give us a follow over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to keep up with the show. I've already mentioned Patreon, but one more plug. It's only $10, y'all, and you get a shirt, and you get a sticker, and you get a button, and you get to hear me talk about some of the cool things that happen with the Marinade and some of the amazing experiences that I get to have. I'm so grateful. We're coming up on 50 episodes, y'all. Just unbelievable to think about where we've come in such a short amount of time. And that's in huge part due to the support that we've received from fans of the show and from our Patreon community and just the support system that we have. Thank you all so much for everything. Thank you for listening and spreading the word. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude right now, and I felt that way since day one, so I don't anticipate it changing at all. I don't think I'll ever get tired of a retweet or just even a like on Facebook when people listen to the show, and then personal messages that I get. Thank you so much, and please continue to, because it does make a difference. It fires me up to send out the emails and do all the work. I mean, this is totally DIY, and it takes a lot, but it's totally worth it, especially when I get those personal messages about how the show has affected you. All right, y'all, it's time for what I'm getting down on, the segment where I talk about the art that is inspiring me at the moment. I've been training for a marathon, and that leads to a lot of time in my headphones and in my own noodle on long runs. I typically listen to long-form podcasts. There aren't a ton out there, conversational type podcasts, and I'm not crazy about Rogan because of some of his kind of, I don't know, conservative is not the right word, but some of his the way he gives people a platform who spew hate. And I'm okay with the platform, actually. Let me rephrase that. I'm okay with the hate coming out because I'd rather it be in public than hidden. But I also get really frustrated when he has somebody on and doesn't challenge them. Either side, push people, challenge people. That's not the nature of my show. I typically agree with the people that I have on my show, but if I didn't, and if they were spewing hate, which they wouldn't, I wouldn't have them on the show if they were. It's not what we're doing, but I would challenge them. Anyway, I did not mean for this to be a rant about Joe Rogan, but he's obviously been in the news, and I'm not crazy about Mark Maron's show. Those long-form shows are kind of tough. It's tough to keep people's attention for 2 hours, and Pete Holmes' You Made It Weird is the one that does. It's a go-to for me. Pete's was the first podcast that I really listened to. It played a huge role in the impetus for the Marinade. It kept me company when my partner Chris was living in Orlando and I was living in Jacksonville. 2 hours pretty much door to door, and I was here every weekend. I was making the trip for 2.5 years, so I listened to a lot of Pete Holmes. And on these runs, I've gotten back into that habit. The episode I listened to on my last long run was a conversation with Shovels and Rope, who I love dearly anyway and fell even deeper in love with after hearing this conversation. It turns out that Carrie Ann and Michael of Shovels and Rope are fans of You Made It Weird, and they really opened up on the podcast, and not surprisingly, that sent me down the Shovels and Rope rabbit hole. I've been wearing out their 2019 release By Blood, and I am so stoked for their show at the Social in Orlando on February 15th. It's just around the corner, and it's just 2 weeks away. It's so exciting that they're coming. I haven't seen them in forever. I think the last time I saw them at Swanee a few years ago, and then I saw them open for Jason Isbell in 2016 or 17 at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. One of the best shows I've ever seen. That whole experience was one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's one of those experiences that's just kind of seared in your memory. Those shows that you go to that you never forget. I mean, I go to shows all the time, and not as much now as I did then, but still I go constantly to see live music. And so for one to really stand out like that, that's a Shovels and Rope live show. It's unbelievable what they're able to do, just the two of them, and their ability to switch and the chemistry between them. And then those songs are so good. So I'm so excited to see them at the Social, which is such an intimate venue. And it would be really cool for folks in the Central Florida area if we could get a bunch of Marinators together. We can go have a drink ahead of the show and then maybe take in the experience together. I typically fly solo at most shows like that, but if you're listening to this and you're in the Central Florida area and you want to come to the show with me, I don't have any extra tickets or anything, but if you have a ticket and you want to go and hang out and have a drink beforehand or whatever, hit me up on Twitter or Facebook, especially Twitter, or Instagram for that matter. You can email me, marinadepodcast@gmail.com. That would be fun if you're interested in getting a group together on February 15th at the Social for Shovels and Rope. I don't know. Let's try it out. The book I've been reading is Rainn Wilson's memoir, The Bassoon King. I picked it up because my therapist has encouraged me to go on kind of a spiritual journey. We were talking about my upbringing in the Baptist church and how that might have affected my anxiety and my fear of death. That's a whole separate podcast. I may immediately put that into Jason's journey for our Patreon patrons right now. But that journey has been really interesting. I'm only 2 weeks into it, I guess. And Rainn was on You Made It Weird, actually, and he talked about his Baha'i faith. And that kind of that piqued my interest. So I'm reading his memoir, and that dude has lived a fascinating life. I definitely recommend The Bassoon King. It's an easy, entertaining read, and it's a much-needed break from my months-long attempt at reading Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. So stay tuned to what I'm getting down for on updates on that thrilling saga that seems to be never ending. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.